schmack.
No, where?
Hi, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Liv.
And this is the Mach-E vlog. But today we're at the headquarters of Aptera in Carlsbad, California to check out what their update is and to go for a ride.
Woo, let's go. As Patrick said, we are here at the Aptera headquarters, which is fortunately 10 miles from our house, Carlsbad, California. So crazy cool. We are going to go listen to Chris Anthony, the CEO?
Yes,
CEO.
Founder
And CEO share all about the newest updates, what's going on, all the cool tech, answer questions, like all intensive, and we're going to go for a test drive. So let's go.
Welcome to beautiful Carlsbad, California. We're super happy and proud to be such a big part of the Electric Vehicle Association, and it's great to have everybody here to celebrate not just the successes of EVs over the last 10 years, but also some of our progress as we push towards production. I was going to give you a little intro to Aptera. I'm sure there's probably a lot of questions, so we'll save most of the time for questions, but we also have some hand around so you can kind of get a feel for the work we're doing here. For those of you that don't know, probably most of you have at least heard of Aptera. Maybe you don't know what we're all about. But Aptera exists to provide the world the most efficient transportation. We started with really the math equation of where does energy go in people's day-to-day transportation. And we found that over 60% of your fuel at highway speeds can go to just pushing air out of the way of a typical SUV or sedan. So if you can really optimize your vehicle for aerodynamics, you're going to get much better fuel economy. The second biggest loss is weight. It takes energy to deform your tire on every rotation. So if you can have a lightweight vehicle, even better. And the last is really the efficiency of your powertrain. So combustion engines, as we all know, are garbage when it comes to converting energy into power to your wheels. You only get like 25% of the energy out of the gasoline you burn to your wheels. So it's a shame to go through all that effort to dig up dinosaur bones and compressed biomatter that could be so useful in plastics and other areas, and just burn it in combustion engines and let it go off into the sky, never to be retrieved again. Electric motors, obviously much more efficient. We take that to the next realm. Typical EVs get maybe 80% of their power from the wall to the wheels. We get closer to 90%. So you put all that together and you get something that looks more like a fish than a box truck, and something that gets extreme efficiency. And because everybody here knows the vernacular, we use less than 100 watt hours per mile. So, it's when compared to a Hummer EV, we're burning a sixth of the energy per mile. And when it's compared to some of you eco-milers out here, it's a third to half of what you guys are using on the best day out in the world. We wanted to show you a little bit about how the vehicle is coming together from an architecture perspective, an engineering perspective. We've been doing a lot of this work in Italy. It's our carbon fiber SMC chassis, how the parts come together. An interesting thing is we only use 6 major parts for our body structure. So there's a tub, there's a top, there's 2 sides and some liner pieces. And that's the whole body structure for this vehicle. When we last tested this vehicle through FMVSS crash test, we had the highest roof crush strength of any passenger car on the road. And it's only gotten better with our work in Italy. So it's a fabulous piece of engineering to see all these things come together. And this, what you see on the screen, will arrive here in just a couple months so we can finish up our first production intent builds and be able to drive people around in what is a fabulous new entry into the Electric Vehicle Association. This is the actual shop in Italy, an amazing place where some of the world's most premier supercars are made. I don't want to rattle off the names, but if you've seen something pretty in a magazine that goes fast, it probably went, at least part of it, through one of CPC's shops in Italy. The carbon fiber SMC that we use is a very interesting material. It's stamp pressed. Imagine like a waffle iron that you put in a glob of thermoset resin and carbon fiber into, and then you close the waffle iron, and you wait 8 minutes, and when you open the waffle iron, you've got a beautiful Aptera part. That's essentially how these parts are made. But they're carbon fiber, they're super strong, and they're used, this material is used in a lot of pretty amazing supercars, so it's really cool to see our vehicle going for that. This is what it looks like, and we'll hand it around so everybody can touch and feel and see what carbon fibery SMC goodness is. But an important thing to note in that particular piece is with this process, we get a part that's really akin to an injection molded part. So you can have embedded fasteners, so you don't have to like glue on a stud or glue on a nut. It's just made in the part. Also has a lot of features, so you can have little landing features, like this is where the HVAC sets the air handler box that blows the AC on you. You can have little landing feet, you can have locating features. You can even have like scribe lines for bonding when you need to bond two pieces together. You can make it in the part. So just a really amazing process. And before this, we had a very hand-laid process. So people would have to hand-lay composite material in a mold, and it took a long time. And I had a boat company. We built a lot of boats, but it took a lot of space and a lot of people. So we have over 46,000 orders for the Aptera now. So we need to build them in mass. People haven't even seen a production vehicle yet, so we're sure that our orders will take off once we have a production vehicle. So we couldn't do something that's going to take hundreds and hundreds and thousands of square feet. We can make up to 100,000 Aptera a year in about 30,000 square feet of space over in Italy. So it's really space constrained, and that's with 6 operators. So 6 people managing a whole plant, making body structures for 100,000 vehicles a year. So it's much different than my boat plant where we had hundreds of people and hundreds of thousands of square feet. These are some of the beautiful parts the guys we're putting together. This was over a month ago. We've come a long way since then, and we've actually finished almost all of the tooling for the vehicle there now. I also recently got back from a trip to Korea. I had some pretty amazing food, and they like to torture the white guy with whiskey and beer. So I definitely had some adventurous nights out. But we just signed a battery arrangement with a company called CT&S there, and they will be building the robotics line to have a fully automated battery pack line in Korea, where we'll build our first couple hundred battery packs, and then we'll ship all that equipment here to the US, and then we'll be building battery packs right here in Carlsbad, California. That's the same game we're playing with CPC. We want to build the body parts in Italy to start, and then we want to bring that equipment over to the US so we can have jobs here in the US to build those things, and so we can have the parts located closer so we don't get caught in a long supply chain way overseas. CT&S built some of our first battery modules. This is an example of one of the battery modules flipped upside down, and this is right side up. Our battery modules are cooled by base plate cooling. We use 2170 cells, which we'll pass around too. These are the cells. If you drove a Tesla Model Y or Model 3 here, likely it has a 2170 NMC cell in here. It's a lot like a AA battery, only fatter. But that's what we populate our modules with, and it takes 6 of these modules to make one Aptera battery pack.
How many cells are in a module?
Good question. There's 2,900 in the whole pack. The math is above me to divide it by 6, but 500 cells or so a pack. But if you haven't ever held a cell that's in your Tesla, this is what they are. In your Tesla, they have like 3 times as many cells as we do, but about 9,000, 10,000 cells in a Tesla pack. Nickel, metal, cobalt. So this in particular is an NMC 811 chemistry. It's a high nickel content chemistry that gives you really good energy density.
600 and 1,000.
Use taller cells, yeah. So a great thing, we've been working with Sandy Monroe and Monroe & Associates to really optimize our pack and all of our manufacturing. But they advised us, don't design 4 distinct packs for your 250 mile, 400 mile, 600 mile, 1,000 mile. Design one pack, and then if you can use a different size cell for those packs, it makes everything much easier. So we use a 70 millimeter tall cell here for the 400 mile range version. We just take some of the cells out for the 250 mile range version. And for the 600 and 1,000 mile range version, we use taller cells. So the cells that are going around are 70 millimeters tall. We go to a 90 millimeter tall and then 120 millimeter tall cell. And that means we can use all the same cell brackets, we can use the same power busing, we can use the same PDU, we can use the same case structure. Everything gets harmonized and gets much, much easier to build. in volume. You'll see over here an old current collector, but this is our new strategy. It's actually laser welded to the battery cells, and the laser's super, super quick. The problem with some of the early Tesla packs is they were wire bonded, and it takes a machine time to drop a wire, lift it, make a loop, drop the wire again, and weld it on. This laser stuff is just, it's super, super quick. So you can bond this whole module in less than a minute, whereas it used to take 6.
How many volts in the
Each module is 50 to 60 volts. The whole pack is 402 charge voltage, 350 nominal. A little description on, kind of how we're evolving here. In Italy, we're building our body structure. We're building the frame that's under the body structure that holds our suspension. The Aptera is really built from the battery out. So the battery is the heaviest part of the vehicle. We use a structural battery that then holds the front and rear suspension, and then we put our pretty beautiful carbon fiber body structure on top of that. That work for the frame and the body will happen in Italy to start, and they will ship those over to us probably as full rollers, with wheels. So once it gets here, we'll be able to put the battery pack in, the solar on, install some of our point of use controllers, which is our digital I/O system around the vehicle, and obviously our control systems, software, center screen and stuff. In Korea is where we'll build our initial battery packs, and those will be shipped here. But eventually those battery packs will be the key here. The battery packs will come off the line. It's the heaviest unit. Then that is really the first station of our assembly. So station 1 is battery pack. Battery pack goes in frame. Station 2, body goes on the vehicle after that, and then you just build up the rest of the vehicle. There's a great simulation on this screen behind me here, right in front of that big black box, which is a solar testing box. But that is a simulation of our manufacturing execution system. So it's digital software by InterRatio that helps us manage the inventory coming out of the back where the shelves are way back there, onto the line. We have to do interesting things like track the serial number of every tire we put on an Aptera. We have to keep that for life in case of warranty concerns. We keep track of, the torque of every bolt that's gone into an Aptera, and obviously serialized every part that went into an Aptera. So once we have tens of thousands of vehicles out there, if there's a problem with the subset of vehicles, we have the data to know, oh, the vendor shipped us the wrong part, or oh, the vendor had a quality issue, and we only have to recall 100 vehicles instead of recalling all 10,000 vehicles, which is nice. So that's a pretty cool simulation, and it's good to see how the factory will actually operate if you get a chance to peek over there and see that.
Are the Alafi wheels headed in Italy?
The Alafi wheels are in Slovenia, which is pretty close to Italy, so it's only a 4-hour drive, so they can put them on a lorry, what they call trucks over there, and drive it over to Italy, where this vehicle can be produced. I wanted to leave a good amount of time for questions, but I also wanted to give you a little tour of the shop from your seats. A big group is hard to manage on tours. But this is an 80,000 square foot facility. It's capable of building about 20,000 vehicles a year. The current line that you'll see animated on that show over there is a 12-station assembly. And this blue line that you see running under the seats and then around the building, that's the actual vehicle assembly line. So there's 12 stations. The takt time is 12 minutes each. We can produce about 40 Aptera a day per shift on those lines.
8-hour shifts.
8-hour shifts, yes, sir. So if we were to bump that to 2 shifts, we can get about 20,000 vehicles out the door per year out of here. How we have the shop organized is up there behind the green wall. That's where all the mechanical engineers are. That's where body structures, aero, suspension, chassis, all those guys. And then we leave the electrical engineers downstairs because it's more gloomy and they can have the lights low. And for whatever reason, the electrical engineers always like it dark because they're always looking at schematics and stuff. But electrical engineers down here, high voltage, low voltage, control system, solar charge controller, all that down here. Over here we have marketing and our amazing community success team with Audra and Chris, who are here helping with this. Our amazing marketing team has done a great job building our community, and so blessed to have them. This over here is accounting and finance and all that stuff. On the shop floor, on this side over here, you'll see most of our solar assembly. So we have the equipment to produce about 10 panels a day right now. You'll be able to kind of see the different forming equipment and then the different test equipment further down. We test for temperature, we test for breakage. We have a big steel ball we drop on stuff. We have an ice gun that shoots ice at 90 miles an hour, so got to pass an ice test. All that fun stuff. But we're really proud of our solar. And I'll pass these around as some show and tell. But these are some coupons of our solar testing here. I'll wait for these guys to come around. But this came off of the forming equipment here, and this is what produces this amazing glass solar panel. And you wouldn't think, that this is glass, but it is. And it's a lot like the glass on your cell phone. It's super, super tough, super scratch resistant, but surprisingly flexible. That means it's also very lightweight, but you can hold it up by just one hand, one finger, if I could balance more properly like a basketball star. But we've made amazing progress on this, and obviously one of the biggest benefits of having the most efficient vehicle platform ever is that you can add very little solar to it and still get very useful charge range out of it. So we add 192 solar cells onto the body surface of our vehicle. That gets you about 700 watts of charging power in optimal sun. And in Southern California, you can get over 40 miles a day of free power just from the amazing nuclear generator in the sky that we have here that's completely free. And in total, in California, Southern California, you can get about 11,000 miles a year of free driving. No need to plug it in, no need to pay your power bill. All you have to do is trust that the sun is going to come up every day and provide you with that power. In more dreary places like Seattle, New York, Boston, you still get like 8,500 miles a year of free driving. So in a world today where I see many articles of people spending over $5,000 a year on gasoline, this thing is a pretty sweet deal at $26,000 to not have a fuel bill ever again. It's also a really cool adventure vehicle. This is the first vehicle that you can take on an adventure, and it actually creates its own fuel when you're out adventuring. Imagine taking a camping trip, driving 200 miles away, camping for a week, and coming back with more power than you had in your Aptera than you left with. Yes, sir, in the back.
Thanks for opening up.
Thanks.
I have a safety question. My wife wants me to live a long time.
Okay.
How and where are the crash forces distributed across the vehicle?
So we have a big crumple zone in the front. We actually have over 650 millimeters of crushable space in the front of the vehicle. To get a 5-star crash rating in the US, you need about 550 millimeters of crushable space. We actually had the highest roof crush strength of any passenger car on the road when we last tested it, so rollover strength is great. We got a big boxed out section by your H point. Most side impact injuries come at your hip. So we did an extra job protecting that, and obviously expect to do really well on the full frontal and offset frontal crash test. The offset frontal in particular basically is a glancing blow that kind of takes the wheel off. So we're very unique in that we have a lot of mass outside of the vehicle where other companies have to account for the mass inside the vehicle. So offset frontal and full frontal crash tests have simulated very well, and the simulations are very good now. So we have gone through all those testing before, but it was with a previous iteration of this vehicle. So the body structure was a good bit different. So we have to retest now, and we probably won't get to that testing till March or April, but we will publish. Sir?
That's 5 vehicles that are going to get crash tested?
That's a good question. I think we're down to 4 now. The cool thing is that if you don't obliterate the vehicle in one crash test, you can use it for another crash test. So like the full frontal crash test, we don't think it's going to damage the vehicle very much. So then you can actually use it for the side impact too. So, yeah, an independent third-party company will take it through the test and do all that. It's not cheap, but that's what we'll do.
And how about pedestrian crash?
Yeah, pedestrian crash is mostly in the very pointy nose part of it. Our vehicle is very low. A lot of what happens is the occupant, slams their head against the hood. When you have an engine that's very high in the hood, there's no way for it to crush down, so you bounce off the engine basically. We don't have any of that in the front of our vehicle, so pedestrian safety is quite unique in this vehicle. Well, more of a bouncy blow. So instead of hitting something hard, you hit something relatively soft. But
Strength and weight question about carbon fibers, handling that little piece that's so powerful.
yes, yes.
That was all like steel or whatever. How much like weight and what's the?
It's about 9 times stronger than steel by weight, but it really is how you design a composite part. Composite parts do good in boxed sections. So really, it's more often about the geometry of the part than the actual material qualities of the part. And historically, automotive companies have tried to shift from aluminum to steel, but they just try to replicate the steel part with some other material, and that's not the way to do it. If you're going to design a carbon fiber vehicle, you have to design the chassis from the ground up, and it has to be, very unique for the material properties. The great thing about fiber is you can transmit load from one area to another area of the vehicle. Steel and aluminum, they just deform. So there are benefits to steel and aluminum for sure, but for our chassis, 9 times stronger than steel sounds great.
And a follow-up on that quickly, what kind of chemical environmental impact from creating that carbon fiber?
The cool thing about the carbon fibers, there's very little waste. There's less than 0.5% of trimmings when you actually produce the part. There's a little flashing that comes out of the side. Like when you injection mold a part, you get like a little slag on the side. So they cut that off, and you can actually recycle that material up to 5 times back into a structural part. So from an environmental perspective, it's a quality material. You use almost all of it. There's not a lot of recycle. In steel and aluminum and even the old hand-laid composites, the waste can be up to 30% of your material. So, we hate for, any material that goes into the Aptera to be wasted. The cool thing about an Aptera, because it uses so little energy per mile and it's so little weight, what you start with from a transportation device has already impacted the earth much, much less. Our battery pack is a quarter of the average battery pack. A 25 kilowatt hour battery pack is going to get you 250 plus miles of range. So when you do that and you use much less material to create the device, to create your vehicle from the start, you're just starting in a much better place for the environment, and every mile you drive, you're using less energy. But thank you. Yes, sir.
Could you comment on development or production of the chassis itself?
In Italy, they're used to making these crazy carbon fiber unibody chassis. We consider it a monocoque chassis, much more like an aircraft. A Cirrus aircraft is a monocoque structure. But they have lots of great forging capabilities in Italy too. So forging a lot of the pieces for the frame and the suspension and all that's going to happen in Italy, and then come to us basically as one unit. A rolling chassis is what they call it. But basically the body structure, the glazing, which is the glass, the doors, the seals, the hinges, the suspension, the wheels, and then we'll get it here in that form, and then have to put in the battery pack and put on the solar and put in the electronics. That's the name of the game, is get that whole body structure from Italy and then bring it here and assemble the rest of the vehicle. Yes, sir.
You mentioned earlier preconditioning for the battery. Are you guys going to have some system in place for like route planning?
Oh, yeah.
Charger?
Yep, most certainly.
So the preconditioning will be automatic.
The precondition will be automatic if you select a charging point, yes. Or you can do it from the app. We do hope to have an app in probably a couple months, but we're going to unveil the app first so we can get a lot of people testing the app. You can download it on your phone. You can have a virtual vehicle that you can go to. You don't have your vehicle yet, but hopefully get a lot of feedback from that. But
Yeah. On repairability, insurance rates are high on Teslas because of their habit of getting towed with relatively minor accidents. Is that going to be addressed both with the insurance industry and in the service centers?
It's a great question, kind of a softball. We're a right to repair company. So, years ago, people got really mad at Apple because you can't replace the battery in your phone. Then it became apparent, like, hold on, I buy these things, but I don't really control the long-term future of these things. I can't change my battery, can't do anything. We are not those guys. We are a right to repair company. Which means that when you buy an Aptera, we give you all the information and parts resources you need to keep that Aptera on the road. So if you call us, we're going to send you a part within 24 hours of you needing one, and we're going to give you the information on how to fix it. So if you're in the middle of Australia and you're not anywhere close to an Aptera service facility, you can still go to a local mechanic or a local service shop, or you can do the repair yourself, which I've had problems with my Tesla, and Tesla has amazing service in Southern California, in my opinion. But even then, you got to schedule an appointment. You got to leave a window for a guy to come. I'm like, well, shit, this is a window regulator. I could have replaced that in 5 minutes. Yet I had to slate out 3 hours of my day to wait for the service guy. Tremendous service in general regards, but for a lot of little things, you can imagine that maybe you just want to do it yourself. In the bigger picture, impact resistance and stuff like that, I don't know if you remember a vehicle called the Saturn, but they had SMC doors, and it wasn't carbon fiber SMC, it was glass SMC, but there was commercials of people hitting them with a sledgehammer and shopping carts, and you get in minor accidents, and nothing would happen to the Saturn because the durability and the toughness of the material was such. That's the case that we'll be in, that you'll have to get into something pretty extreme to damage a part. But if you do damage a part, we have a very modular vehicle build. So everything's built in modules. So, worst case scenarios, you're literally replacing the monocoque structure of the vehicle. But that monocoque structure is, less than $10,000. So, if you take the front quarter off of a regular vehicle, you're probably in the $15,000 to $20,000 of damage range, which is why electric vehicles get totaled so much. Rear quarter, front quarter, you name it. If you damage a quarter of the vehicle, they don't put on a new quarter. The cool thing about our vehicles, everything's lightweight. At almost any mechanic shop, you can take off all the parts yourself or with very light equipment and actually fix the Aptera very quickly and easily. So we're proud to be a right to repair company, and we're proud to kind of have a vehicle that has the toughness and durability to stand up, but also if it is broken, the modularity to be able to fix it quicker. Hope that answers the question. Long-winded answer to you, but. Yes, this is considered a motorcycle. So 3 wheels in America gets you in the HOV lane for free, and it's classified as a motorcycle, so we get to use this really small plate in the back. But because it has 3 wheels, you don't have to have a motorcycle's license, and because it has something over your head, you don't have to wear a helmet. So
you talked about how the body manufacturing and the battery assembly is coming to the U.S. I think you mentioned some time ago that Alafe also might be coming to the U.S.
Yeah, Alafe makes our in-wheel motors. They're built in Slovenia now. They have amazing technologies. We also have a plan to build those motors here in the U.S. too. It's a little simpler than a lot of the other stuff we're seeing as a challenge, but they're from that green pole to that green pole, we can build 20,000 motors a year, so it's not a lot of space to build those. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, practical question. If you get a flattened back, how do you change it?
The side panel of the rear wheel skirt comes off so you can change the rear tire. And these front guys, they actually flip up like Lamborghini doors so you can get to those tires. So if you have to put air in them or if you have to change the whole tire, you just flip that outside cover. The cool thing about the front wheel pants is these front and rear parts are fungible. They're foam, so you can take them off if you want to go off-roading. But also, if you damage them, they're only $30 parts. So that there's something that you can upgrade over time. You could probably make them pink or whatever too if you wanted to add some accents as well. But, yes, sir.
How will wheel alignment work? Is it something that will just be in after service?
Yeah, a typical wheel alignment shop can do the wheel alignment. It's adjusted, typical tie rod, just like older vehicles. But there will be some special instructions on how to set the rear wheel. So if you go to a 4-wheel shop, they already know where to set the rear wheel side to side. You're going to take this to somebody and be like, what, did Sam hail it? So you have to have some instructions on how to do that. But yes, sir.
Will it take tire cables if we're going over the Sierra?
It will, yeah.
Will the horsepower vary with the battery pack size, and also what about 48 volts?
Yes, the battery pack size does make the vehicle behave a little different. The heavier battery packs aren't as quick, 0 to 60, those types of things. We have to have different spring rates and stuff for the bigger battery packs. So it's not a different horsepower, but it is a different feel for the vehicle, if that makes sense. We don't change the drivetrain for the bigger battery packs. You just get the bigger battery pack. So you get more range, but a little less performance. He also asked about a 48-volt system. Tesla's done really cool thing. They've introduced a 48-volt power bus to their low voltage side that reduces the copper in your system, which is great. We've already gone to a point of use controller system. So we have little control boards all over the vehicle. So our wiring harness only consists of a power, ground, and communication wire. So we already have wiring harnesses that's 30% of the weight of a typical EV wiring harness on the low voltage side. So the bang for our buck to go to 48 volts isn't as much. And Elon has lots of cash, so he can pay to develop 48-volt devices, but there's not a supply chain for 48-volt devices right now. So we can't go out to a supplier and say, hey, you got a 48-volt thing? They're like, no, piss off. Or pay us a lot of money to develop it. So we're not in the 48-volt game, but we hope that the industry goes there, and then one day we can we can be there. Way in the back, sorry to be ignoring people, but.
Can you talk a little bit about your current thinking about temperature management of the battery in the cabin? And do you do temperature management of the battery while the vehicle is off?
We do cold management when the battery's off. So if it's a really cold day, we'll keep the battery pack above freezing. Obviously, you don't want to use too much power to do that. You know, our battery system is adiabatic, so you know we try to use as little heat as possible to just keep it above freezing. But we have systems in place to manage that. And in the interior, you can precondition it with your app. So if it's a cold day, you can warm it up before you get in the vehicle.
So some of us have started a letter writing campaign. We've written to Congress people, we've written the Congress members who sit on the SEC. Besides writing those letters, what else can we do to help Aptera earn the $7,500 tax credit?
Oh, thank you so much for the question. I would love for the Aptera to exist in a regime where we could get the $7,500 federal tax credit. We are three wheels. We're considered a motorcycle, so we are outside of that regime. The state of California still has some cool incentives. There's even cooler incentives up in Oregon. But yeah, if you have connections to political representatives or anyone in your community that might have influence, please share our story. You know, the more Aptera followers and fans we have, the better our life is going to be. But you know, you can never overestimate our government's ability to fail on making the world a better place. You know, politicians aren't in the game for long-term strategies, and we're in it for the long term. I want my grandkids to inherit a better planet, and this is a way to do it. So yes, if you have any influence, please spread the word. But I appreciate everybody's time and hearing and learning about Aptera. Our website is aptera.us, so if you want to hit that up to see what we're all about. Let me know if you guys, I'm sure we have an EV Association code, so you guys can get 30% off of your pre-order if you want to pre-order. But I'm so happy to host you guys, and I know you'll have a fabulous day with us. So if you see me around, feel free to ask me any questions that you guys have. But thank you so much. Thank you. This is our battery pack as we're producing it for our first launch vehicles. This 45 kilowatt hour battery is the standard pack full of these 2170 cells. If we want to make a smaller pack, a 25 kilowatt hour pack, which will get us about 250 miles of range, we just depopulate some of the parallel groups in each of these battery modules. So take out 40, 50% of the batteries, and now you're down in capacity for that smaller pack. For the bigger pack, the 66 kilowatt hour pack, we use these cells in 90 millimeter tall. So these are 70 millimeter tall right now. The 66 kilowatt hour pack is 90 millimeter tall. And the 100 kilowatt hour pack is 120 millimeters tall, so a lot taller cell. But what that allows us to do is we use the same power distribution unit, the same battery management computers for everything, the same power busing, the same cell brackets, the same cell case and architecture, and it really harmonizes all of our different battery pack designs. This battery module over here is one that's already wire bonded. This one here was a very early R&D version of what we're doing. And this right here is a 3D print, it's not the actual one, of the battery management computer that goes on each battery module here. I've got a great legacy in battery management and started my other lithium battery company on the back of a battery management design like this. And we've evolved it mightily to do a lot of cool things. But any battery pack fire that you've ever heard of in the EV industry was caused because the battery management system failed. This computer is supposed to tell everything else in your vehicle, hey, there's a problem. Stop doing whatever you're doing. So whether you're discharging too fast or charging too fast or it's too cold or whatever, this is the computer that manages this guy. And it's really the basics of EV technology, that when this thing works right, your battery packs are infinitely safe. We'll walk over here and talk about our body structures a little. But this is the SMC outer panel of the Aptera. So we talked about the carbon fiber SMC, and we passed around that part earlier, which was black. So that's a similar part to this, except it has carbon fiber. This is glass SMC.
but this is what's on the exterior of the Aptera. And the cool thing about the Aptera is we actually got rid of all the paint on the Aptera. No part of the Aptera is painted. In a modern automotive plant, you can spend half of the capital equipment expenditures for the plant just on your paint shop. And 80% of the emissions from a modern automotive plant is just from the paint shop. So we got rid of paint. We don't paint. And good luck getting a paint shop permitted in Southern California. Not gonna happen. So we take panels like this and we put a vinyl coating on them. It's a wrap like you've seen. Tesla does it from the factory for the Model S and X, and now the Cybertruck. There are a couple other automobile manufacturers that ship from the factory with the wrap. But you'll see a lot of supercars come out, and then they have fancy wraps like the Gucci Prince or Pink, or what was the Nancat one with Deadmau5? Yeah. So when you get your Aptera, you can wrap it whatever color you want, and we'll send you the cut pattern so you can take your Aptera to a local cut shop, and they'll cut the vinyl for you. And hopefully for just a couple $100, they'll basically be able to put that vinyl sticker on your Aptera, and you can have it be whatever you want, RB pink, all the way to a death metal gray. I was going to maybe show you these solar cells down here next, and then talk about how they actually fit together with their solar panels. So these are solar cells. These solar cells are provided to us from a company called Maxion in the Philippines. You can see these solar cells are very flexible. It's cool that they're very flexible because it is actually a monocrystal on the top of the solar cell. 50 micron monocrystal of solar, but it's still pretty flexible. Another cool thing about it is it's an IBC cell, so there's a copper matrix on the back of the cell. I want to do a live demo here. Maybe a live demo. So the cool thing about having the copper matrix on the back is, one, it helps hold it together to be a little more flexible. Two, because of the copper matrix, we can not only flex it in one angle, we can flex it in two. So a lot of things like to be flexible in one plane, but if you try to flex it in two planes at once, no bueno. But because of this copper matrix, we can actually flex it about 1.5 millimeters on each corner, which is great for us. And if you break one of these solar cells, there's your light. You actually still have the cell held together in the back by the copper matrix. So if you have a crazy hailstorm, or some baseball incident or something that cracks one of your solar cells on the Aptera, the old style solar cells, as soon as you crack the monocrystal, your cell is dead. It turns into a resistor. It kills your whole panel. But these guys, this actually produces a significant amount of power. Maybe 90% of the power it originally did, even though it's broken. So very fault-tolerant kind of cell technology. We have some equipment at the end of the line down here. That big white box down there, we actually bought from SunPower, which used to build with Maxion solar cells, huge supplier of residential solar cells. We bought that machine to actually string together our solar cells here, but it electrically strings together these cells. And then we have a white robot down there. It's maybe hard to, that little white robot there, it actually picks up these strings and then puts them into an assembly like this. And then that yellow robot actually picks up this whole assembly and then puts it into a form, which is the bottom side's glass, and there's different polymer separators, and the cells go in between it. And then it goes into that white and green machine that's behind this rack of things that Chris will run over to. But that white and green machine with the green racing stripes, there you go. That's actually what forms a big panel like this. So it's through heat and pressure and vacuum, vacuums it all together, and then you end up with a big panel. And a lot like a laminated windshield in traditional automotive, once it's laminated together, it's good for life. So this is actually a production intense version of our hood, and you can see how flexible and lightweight it is. It's really amazing what they've been able to do with glass these days. You'll notice on your cell phones really scratch resistant these days. We're using the same kind of technology here to make sure that Aptera's panels are lightweight and super scratch resistant. So we'll go over and look at this simulation right here on these screens, and then that will pretty much be the end of the tour. Here, we're a very data-driven company. So we have the SO tools for our design. CATIA is what we use for our CAD software. That CAD design rolls into a product life management software, and that manages how we evolve the design over time. Then that design is released to an enterprise resource planning software called NetSuite. All of our purchase orders and financials are issued out of NetSuite now. A cool thing to note for everyone here is we're PCAOB audited and SOX compliant. So we're a very public ready company because we're data driven. And then that ERP system actually flows into this, which is called a manufacturing execution system. So now you have a lot of buzzwords to go back and tell your friends. But manufacturing execution is how it manages the inventory that comes out of inventory and goes on your manufacturing floor to build your vehicles. And everything's recorded. Every battery cell that goes into the battery pack has a serial number, it's recorded. Every bolt that goes in has a serial number, the torque is recorded, how much you torque that bolt down. Every tire has a serial number. You record the serial number that's on the tire. You record the PSI that you fill that tire to. So very, very data-driven manufacturing that gives you a bunch of things in the future to refer to. So if there's a problem with some particular part, you know when that particular series of parts went in, and then 5 years down the road, if there's problems with those parts, you can refer back to the data and say, okay, it looks like this problem was between vehicle 20,500 and 20,650. So you only have to recall 150 vehicles instead of recalling all 26,000. I know you guys see on the news, GM recalling 650,000 vehicles. We don't ever want to be in that situation, and this is how you do it. You plan for a very lean manufacturing, and you record everything that goes into the vehicle and keep very good data. From there, Monroe and Associates helped us take this assembly ideology and put it into this visualization of how our plant will work. So this is the plant that you're setting in now. Those are the inventory shelves that are in the very back corner. This is the vehicle assembly line, the blue line that's kind of gone around and you've seen. And then in the middle, we have our battery line, which is right here, and then our solar line, which is on this side. So in this facility, we're able to do batteries, solar panel, and vehicle assembly for about 40 vehicles per shift, which is about 10,000 vehicles a year. Or with 2 shifts, we can do 80 vehicles a day, which is about 20,000 vehicles a year out of this facility. You might ask, well, why don't you run 3 shifts? Well, there's a little logistics problem. You can only get stuff in and out of this building so quick. If we were in a better building somewhere else that had more land and more ability for trucks to drive in and out, maybe we could do 26 or 30,000 vehicles a year out of a facility like this. But we hope to make this the model, and then we hope to have plants in San Francisco and Texas and Virginia and the Netherlands and Australia and Germany. So the idea is to have 8 of these facility plants around the world by 2028, and to be building about 150,000 vehicles a year by 2030, and to deliver 1 million Apteras by 2033. Oh, this facility, 80,000 square feet. Up top here is mechanical engineering, so aerodynamics, body structures, suspension, chassis. Down below here, in the depressing light, is the electrical engineers. They all like it dreary and dark. They're always looking at schematics. Down here, they do high voltage, low voltage, firmware, user interface. Up top here, we have our brilliant marketing team and communication team and accounting. And then down here is all for just assembly space. So cool. That is the facility.
Yay!
Great opportunities you have when you are with the Electric Vehicle Association. So I'm so proud to be a board member here, and I'm going to check out the new Aptera. Oh, Pete.
Oh. Matchy matchy.
You don't see a lot of pink in this today.
Join.
Yeah. But
Love it. Yeah, I'm it. So, Holly's me in. Highly recommend.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness. Dude, you're whipping it.
Yeah, do you want me to whip it or you want me to
Yeah, whip it. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. No kidding.
It's very locked in.
Oh my gosh. This is bonkers.
Vehicle. Cool, huh?
Yeah, it's cool. Oh my gosh.
We're charging right now even while we're doing all this.
Yeah, you are. It's sunny day. It's gorgeous.
So.
I feel like you've done this before.
I
Wait,
did a lot.
you made it so quick.
You can tell though, like the suspension's really cool.
It's
know?
amazing.
It feels awesome. So
That's
I'm
so
super
good.
excited about that.
Oh, I love this. And this is way comfy. I'm so sorry that was so quick, but
Right?
thank you
Big
very much.
Headroom and all that.
Yeah. Thank
Very
you for the
spacious.
ride.
No problem. Just give that.
Have a
button
great
press
time.
And then
I'll give the button a
pop
boop.
out.
I shall boop it. Wait, where? There it is. Booped. Boop. Oh, snap. Amazing. Oh my goodness.
Well, we just did this.
That.
Here it comes. Told you.
It looks chill. It was not chill. Hopefully we managed to capture it properly, but that was crazy.
I know I didn't do a good job filming. We actually just rode in it just in the parking lot because they're trying to get, we'll show you
A
over
whole
here.
line of people.
The whole crowd of people there. Everybody's trying to get just a brief ride in it. Hopefully we get to come back and like do a longer ride. But
Yeah.
I was impressed with the little short ride. It's really hard to tell about the comfort or anything like that, but I had a tremendous amount of leg room.
Yes.
But I think the thing that surprised me the most is like it felt like we didn't even slow down for the corners.
Absolutely not. Yeah, he was really whipping it. You probably heard the squealing tires, hopefully, but it felt really stable, which I think is a question I had, at least with the three-wheeled vehicles. Like, how would it feel? And he went on a really tight turn, much faster than any of us would probably do.
Yeah.
And it felt really good.
Yeah, it was. One of my concerns, seeing anything three-wheel is like, does it flip over easy?
Yeah.
And definitely the answer is here he comes again. Oh. But here
Oh,
comes,
another
there's like a
car. I
Tesla
know. I
going
was
the other
just
way. I'm
watching
like,
that. Oh no, they got in the way of the screeching.
Yeah. Well, that messed that up. But I mean, it looks really stable. It feels really stable inside.
It feels much more comfortable than I thought it would. I personally like an SUV, so I tend to like to sit up with my legs like bent like this. The Aptera makes you almost lying down, but in a very comfortable way.
Yeah.
I was kind of concerned about it, but sort of like how the Porsche Taycan, you're
Yeah.
down. This actually felt a lot more open. Like the Taycan can be a little, it's like sporty and closed in. This felt like quite open and relaxed in a lie down
it felt
way.
roomier.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was just a quick, brief introduction. So
We'll
I don't know.
hopefully spend more time
Hopefully
in
get
it.
some more time, but very good information here today.
Yeah.
Hearing, like a status update of Aptera. Exciting things are happening. As always, they need funding to get into production, but you can see like the engineering is solid. Their prototypes are solid, and they're starting the process of getting into production, which is really a big hurdle for any startup, EV startup. And, I think they're going to pull it off. I'm optimistic, very optimistic, and hopefully we'll see some cars, if not by the end of this year, by the beginning of 2025.
Mine says
feeling-
25 for delivery.
Yeah, we'll
on
see.
the website.
I mean, this is the hard part. We've talked about on numerous videos. It's like building a prototype is easy. It's not. But building a prototype is easy. Getting into production is very hard, and getting into production at scale is extremely hard. So they have all the pieces in place. I'm really stoked that Aptera is literally 10 miles from our house. So
My dad lives right there.
Yeah, Dad lives around the corner. So. Anyways,
we're gonna have to come have a closer look.
that's our brief ride in Aptera. We're gonna try and come and take a longer tour. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, drop them down below. We'll see if we can get those answered if we get to do another visit. What else?
I have no idea. we just say thank you to our patrons. We appreciate you guys so very, very much. Your names are scrolling across the screen right now. And just remember that whatever you drive, whether it is powered by the sun, like an Aptera, which is super awesome being powered right now today,
Yes.
or not, enjoy the ride. Bye.